You know, so I usually do my homework. I find somebody who knows somebody or something. They could give me some information, like who is it? Like who is he? And you know, Frenchie, they got me the tape. They got me the tape of his mother's house, where his mom's work at. You know what I'm saying? The other cribs, the studios, stuff like that.
That's the Cali tape.
Right.
Okay.
So this is the daughter of the ruler of Dubai, and apparently she uses controversial rule on social media.
Comes out like we said, and now you have real deals on the table. And out of all those, you go with Diddy.
That's not how it really went.
Was it Diddy? Was it Bad Boy MMG?
Yeah, I went to go see Ross, and Ross was like, "I got an opportunity for you. I don't have the money for you, but I got the opportunity." I guess because the same thing Meek did, the same thing Wale did. I guess whatever the way the situation, his label was, he wasn't trying to give me the money I wanted, and I wanted like a whole bunch of money. But he was like, "Look, let's do it like this. Let's call Puff, and let's get him to give you the bag. You can still be MMG / you know what I'm saying? Bad Boy, Coke Boys, yep.
Right. How much money did you get?
$2 million.
Hi, guys. What I actually learned, a friend of mine is an air hostess, and her friend was on a flight with her, and her friend was eating like a very specific diet. So apparently the thing is, it's actually a control thing. I don't know if I can speak about sheikhs.
No, speak.
So these guys actually pay these women to hold a strict diet for like 2 weeks so that they can know that they are in complete control of what that woman is putting into her body, and the girl is shit on them.
Wow.
So the girls aren't even getting shit on, the girls are shit on these guys, because then the guys feel like it's sick, like it's a control thing. So then they know like, oh, you listened to me for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so that's probably their kink, that girls actually listen to them.
No 2-minute noodle.
And I'm sure there were some other ones also.
Yeah. I came to Steve Rifkin when I had Chopper Down.
Mm-hmm.
I walked in the office. It was him and Gabi.
Yep.
And Gabi was manager. I was like, yo, Steve, give me $200,000. Let me go make music. You know what I'm saying? Just let me. Steve was like, nah, I'll give it to you.
Never got it.
Never got it. I dropped.
Which is funny because Gabi's the president of SRC. Steve is like the CEO, but
so I don't know what type of
but Steve makes the final call.
Yeah. So I asked for $200,000. You know what I'm saying? And
forget the fairy tale headlines. French Montana isn't just in love. He might be in survival mode. The blogs are screaming about a $7 billion engagement to a Dubai princess, but the whispers behind the scenes paint a darker picture. To some, French didn't just upgrade from Bronx hustler to royal fiancé. He traded one master for another, and the tea is piping hot. This escape plan might look like paradise on Instagram, but insiders say it's starting to smell like a golden cage. French Montana engaged to a Dubai princess worth nearly $7 billion. That's the headline flooding the blogs, and on the surface it sounds like the ultimate glow-up. The Bronx Coke boy turned bad boy signee suddenly locking arms with Middle Eastern royalty? To the casual fan, it looks like French just skipped the line and secured himself a fairy tale ending. Palaces, oil money, and a lifetime supply of Cartier. It's the kind of move that makes even his haters stop scrolling and go, okay, maybe French finally won. But baby, don't let the glitter blind you. Because beneath the fairy lights and Instagram-perfect smiles, the whispers say this ain't about romance at all. They say this isn't a love story. It's a survival story. And when you start connecting the dots, the timing looks a little too perfect. Federal heat still circling Diddy. Subpoenas flying at anyone who ever popped a bottle at a freak off. And suddenly French pops up not just overseas, but tied to one of the richest families in the Middle East. That don't smell like coincidence. It smells like strategy. And here's where the plot thickens. To the public, he upgraded from the Bronx to a palace. But to the streets, it looks like he just swapped one master for another. Because when you marry into $7 billion, you're not the prize, you're the accessory. You don't set the rules, you follow them. Which leaves everyone asking the same question. Did French Montana really level up, or did he just lock himself inside a golden cage? Now, if you know anything about hip-hop gossip, you know one man who never misses a chance to throw shade. 50 Cent. And when French Montana's engagement hit the headlines, Fifth didn't just laugh, he pounced. He hit the blogs with that classic troll energy, clowning French for allegedly being bought by Dubai royalty. On the surface, it sounded like another one of 50's petty Instagram jabs, the kind he drops just to keep his feud flames alive. But this time, the shade cut a little deeper, because behind the trolling was a point people couldn't ignore. See, 50's been on French's neck for years, calling him washed, a Diddy leftover, a man who clings to powerful people instead of standing on his own. And with this Dubai move, Fifth practically screamed, "I told y'all so." To him, French didn't just bag a princess. He got scooped up like a bargain, like property passed from one powerful man to another. That's why his French got bought. Line hit different. It wasn't just a roast. It was almost like a warning. Think about it. 50 Cent built his entire brand on independence, on flipping street credibility into boardroom power. He's the guy who turned vitamin water into a fortune and never let himself be owned by any one label or mogul. So when he looks at French Montana suddenly switching coasts and cozying up to billion-dollar royalty, he doesn't just see a flex. He sees the leash. To 50, French traded the velvet leash he wore under Diddy for a golden one in Dubai. And the scary part? He might not even realize it. And here's the thing about Fifth. Behind the memes and the trolling, he often says the quiet part out loud. When he joked that French was bought, fans laughed, but the comment section lit up with people pointing out how calculated the timing looked. Folks were writing, French ran from Diddy straight into another man's house. Others were harsher. He's always been someone's boy. Now he's just royalty's boy. The joke stung because they echoed what 50 was really implying. That French Montana doesn't move on love. He moves on survival. So, was this just 50 Cent being petty, or was he giving French the type of warning that only a man who's seen both sides of the industry can give? That's the real gag. Because when Fifth trolls, it's never just for laughs. It's usually because he smells blood in the water. And right now, he's hinting that French's big Dubai escape might not be freedom at all, but another trap disguised in luxury. To really understand why people are side-eyeing French Montana's Dubai escape plan, you gotta rewind the tape back to when he first stepped into Diddy's orbit. Because that move right there, it set the tone for the man's entire career. See, back in the early 2010s, French wasn't some unknown mixtape kid begging for a shot. He had buzz in the streets, Coke boys were moving heavy, and labels were circling. Roc Nation wanted him. MMG, under Rick Ross, made serious offers. Even Kanye's camp was flirting with a deal. French had options, real options, with major labels and real money on the table. But out of all the doors he could have walked through, he picked Bad Boy. And that decision had fans scratching their heads then and raising their eyebrows even harder now. Why? Because Bad Boy was infamous at that point. Not for chart-topping hits, but for shady contracts, washed artists, and whispers about what really went down behind scenes. Everybody in the game knew Puff gave smaller checks up front, but he sweetened the pot with something else. Access. The parties. The women. The infamous freak-offs. The whispered promises that if you played the game right, you wouldn't just get money, you'd get proximity to power. And French? He bit. He admitted in interviews that Ross couldn't give him the big bag he wanted. Jay was circling, but not throwing cash like Puff. Diddy slid in with $2 million up front and a lifestyle package no other label was offering. So French signed on the dotted line, not necessarily for the best financial deal, but for the chance to be in Puff's inner circle. Now here's where the whispers come in. Fans clocked it back then, but after Diddy's scandals exploded in 2024, people started re-watching the French Montana tapes with fresh eyes. Those viral clips of him stumbling out of villas looking half dead. The birthday parties where he and Puff looked just a little too comfortable, robes and shirtless champagne toasts that fueled internet theories. The sudden Sir French Vanilla Ciroc flavor Puff gifted him right after one of their all-night hangs. On paper, it looked like branding. To the streets, it looked like grooming. And let's not forget the producers and insiders who later spilled tea about what it really took to secure a Bad Boy deal. One producer swore he was blackballed after refusing to join a freak-off. Others hinted that Puff didn't just sign talent, he tested loyalty in other ways. So when people saw French's quick rise, the Whispers wrote the story for him. He took the smaller bag and paid a personal price for the glow-up. That's why today, when people see him running into the arms of Dubai royalty, the déjà vu hits hard. Because French has a history, not of picking the best deals, but of attaching himself to powerful men who could give him access and protection, even if it came with strings attached. With Diddy, it was bad boy contracts and freak-off whispers. With Dubai, it's billion-dollar royalty and rumors of control. Different setting, same playbook. So the question becomes, did French ever really escape the bad boy lifestyle? Or did he just level it up on a global scale? Because from the outside looking in, it doesn't look like freedom. It looks like a man who's always been willing to trade autonomy for security, just now playing the game with a bigger bag and a shinier cage. Now let's fast forward to the present, because French Montana's story takes a sharp turn right when things around Diddy start crumbling. The timing? Too perfect to ignore. By late 2024, the walls around Sean Diddy Combs were closing in. Civil suits stacked high, former insiders flipping, and the feds circling with trafficking investigations that promised to expose anyone in his orbit. Subpoenas were flying like confetti, and suddenly everyone who'd ever stood too close to Puff Daddy was getting nervous. Bad Boy alumni were ducking interviews, ex-girlfriends were lawyering up, and even the industry veterans who swore loyalty started backing away. And then, like magic, French Montana reappears on the scene, not just chilling in Morocco or Miami, but draped on the arm of Dubai royalty. Engaged to a princess worth nearly $7 billion, living in palaces, flashing Falcons and Rolls Royces on Instagram. To the blogs, it looked like a rags-to-riches Cinderella story. But to the streets, the timing was louder than the ring on her finger. Because let's keep it 100, this didn't look like romance. It looked like relocation. Survival. When the feds start raiding mansions in LA and New York, suddenly French isn't on U.S. soil anymore. He's under the protective wing of a family whose wealth and influence stretch far beyond American jurisdiction. And if there's one thing Dubai offers, it's not just luxury, it's insulation. See, in the U.S., French Montana was Diddy's boy, forever tied to the scandals, the whispers, and the looming subpoenas. But in Dubai, he's rebranded as royalty's fiancé. The paparazzi don't ask him about freak-offs, they ask him about palaces. The feds can't just kick down doors in Dubai the way they can in Beverly Hills. And best believe, when you're tied to a $7 billion family, the phrase untouchable starts to mean something very real. It's the ultimate upgrade in survival strategy. With Diddy, French got money, access, and a dangerous reputation he couldn't shake. With Dubai, he gets money, access, and protection on a scale that puts him out of reach of the chaos back home. Think about it. Who's going to serve French Montana a subpoena while he's sipping tea next to literal royalty? Who's going to drag him into depositions when his new in-laws have diplomatic ties that can make whole problems vanish? So, when you look at the engagement through this lens, it stops looking like a fairy tale and starts looking like a chess move. French Montana didn't just find love, he found sanctuary. He didn't escape the bad boy curse. He just bought himself a new kind of immunity. Or, depending on how you see it, a new kind of leash. Because here's the gag. Protection comes with a price. In the same way Puff's protection came with freak-off rumors and smaller checks, Dubai's protection may come with rules, restrictions, and expectations that make French's freedom feel more like a gilded cage. On the surface, French Montana's engagement to Dubai royalty looks like the ultimate jackpot. Oil money, palaces, private jets. But peel back the curtain, and you'll see why some people are calling it less of a love story and more of a cautionary tale. Because the history of Dubai's royal family isn't just luxury and power. It's also control, secrecy, and scandals that make Diddy's freak-offs look like child's play. Let's start with the whispers everyone knows but rarely says out loud. For years, influencers have been flown out to Dubai for appearances and modeling gigs, only for the rumors to spiral into something darker. The tabloids and TikTok sleuths have dragged out the same allegations over and over. That Western women are treated less like guests and more like disposable entertainment, their silence bought with six-figure checks and NDAs. Stories that once sounded like messy internet gossip suddenly feel a lot more real when you remember who controls the money, the press, and even the laws in Dubai. And the royalty themselves? They're not untouchable saints. Look at Princess Latifah, the daughter of Dubai's ruler, who literally tried to escape the country in 2018, claiming her father kept her prisoner. She made a desperate video before fleeing on a yacht, only to be intercepted by commandos, dragged back, and hidden away. For years, the world asked, was she alive? Was she free? That's not the plot of a Netflix thriller. That's real life. Then there's Princess Shamsa, another daughter who allegedly tried to flee while visiting England back in 2000. Reports say she was abducted off the streets of Cambridge and flown back to Dubai against her will. To this day, her fate is cloaked in secrecy. Human rights groups still bring her name up as proof of how far the royals will go to maintain control. So when you plug French Montana into this picture, the fairy tale suddenly looks grim. He's not marrying into a family where love conquers all. He's entering a dynasty where power conquers all. And in dynasties like this, outsiders aren't equals. They're ornaments, accessories, trophy husbands displayed for status and entertainment, but stripped of any real control. Think about it. A rapper from the Bronx, used to living under Puff's thumb, suddenly finds himself inside a palace with billion-dollar expectations. You think he's calling shots? No, he's the decor. Valuable, yes, because he brings global clout, American celebrity, and hip-hop glamour, but ultimately powerless. The same way Princess Latifah's cries couldn't move the system, French Montana's choices won't outweigh the rules of royalty. So while the blogs are screaming about French bagging a $7 billion princess, the darker reality is this. He might have traded one kind of bondage for another. With Diddy, it was contracts, freak-off whispers, and NDAs. With Dubai, it's gilded cages, unspoken rules, and a history that shows even princesses aren't free when they step out of line. The gag? In this new world, French Montana isn't the boss, the mogul, or even the groom with the upper hand. He's just another piece on the board, a shiny accessory that can be displayed, hidden, or discarded depending on the royal family's mood. On paper, French Montana's engagement looks like a masterclass in survival. The man went from coat boy to bad boy to palace boy. He dodged the crumbling empire of Sean Diddy Combs, sidestepped the subpoenas, and landed himself in a fortress where money is endless and power is untouchable. To the untrained eye, it's genius. He didn't just secure the bag. He secured the bloodline of a $7 billion family. That's not a come up. That's generational immunity. But here's the irony nobody wants to say out loud. What looks like freedom might actually be the most expensive trap of his life. Because French didn't walk away from Diddy's velvet leash. He walked straight into Dubai's golden cage. With Puff, the control was subtle. A smaller bag, freak-off whispers a lifestyle that looked lavish but always kept you tethered to his orbit. With Dubai, the control is bigger, shinier, but way less forgiving. You don't just owe loyalty. You owe silence, obedience, and your entire identity. This isn't just about signing bad paperwork or being embarrassed on TMZ. This is about stepping into a dynasty where your every move is monitored, and your freedom isn't a line item. It's a privilege they can snatch back in a heartbeat. And that's where the gamble comes in. Because survival isn't the same as living. French might have outsmarted the feds, ducked the lawsuits, and secured protection. But at what cost? He's not in the driver's seat anymore. He's a passenger in a golden Rolls Royce, chauffeured wherever the royals want him to go. Valuable enough to keep, but replaceable enough to remind him he's not the prize. He's the accessory. It's the ultimate double-edged sword. To the blogs, French won. To the insiders, he just swapped one master for another. The leash is heavier, the stakes are higher, and the price of disobedience? A lot worse than being dropped from Bad Boy Records. Because in this world, you don't just lose a contract. You can lose your freedom, your voice, even your life. So, yes, French Montana might have survived the bad boy fallout. But the question now is, can he survive the $7 billion trap? And this is where the story circles back to 50 Cent. Because while French Montana is busy showing off palaces and $7 billion engagement rings, 50 is on the other side of the chessboard, living proof of what it looks like to play the game differently. 50 built his empire by refusing the leash. He flipped mixtapes into millions, cashed out on vitamin water, carved his own lane in TV, and made sure nobody could ever say they owned him. His trolling might sound petty, but it's rooted in pride. He never let himself become somebody's property. And that independence is why, love him or hate him, 50 Cent is still a boss in every room he walks into. French, on the other hand, chose a different playbook. From bad boy to Dubai, his entire career reads like survival by submission. He doesn't bet on himself. He bets on powerful men to shield him. Puff gave him access. Dubai gives him protection. He doesn't take the biggest bag. He takes the safest umbrella. And while that strategy might keep him safe, it also keeps him owned. And that's the paradox. To us, looking in from the outside, French Montana looks like property, another man's accessory, a pawn dressed up as a king. But to him, this might feel like royalty. After all, he came from the Bronx, fought his way out of Morocco's poverty, survived Diddy's world, and now he's dining with billionaires in palaces the average rapper can't even buy their way into. From his point of view, he's not caged, he's crowned. But here's the haunting question that lingers when the Instagram filters fade. Did French Montana finally escape the chaos of bad boy, or did he just sell himself to a bigger master with a shinier cage? Because at the end of the day, survival has a price. And the $7 billion trap might be the most expensive deal French Montana has ever signed.